childhood be without dreams?
When I grow up, I really want to be a pilot. When I grow up, I really want to be a baseball player.
I found Jared snoring on a couch and I couldn't wake him up. About an hour after I found him on the couch, we realized that he had some large growth in his head. Once they did the MRI the next day, they knew it was a brain tumor and they knew it was completely inoperable. Death was a certainty, which was hard to believe when you were just talking to him the day before and he seemed okay.
Watching Dove on stage after his first seizure, I'm joyful and I'm celebrating his success, and I'm always just a little bit afraid. What if, God forbid, that tumor grows back?
My dream for Micah is that he is cured of this evil disease that's been trying to take him away, but he's just pushing through. I want him to outlive me, and that's my dream. Micah was diagnosed March 7th of 2010 with an anaplastic ependymoma. It was softball size.
Because the brainstem is the control center for thought, emotion, and movement, these tumors can have devastating effects on a child's physical and cognitive abilities.
There you go.
He relearned how to do just about everything. Eat, walk, talk, even just to be a kid and play video games again. He lost all of those abilities. Micah has been on 30 cycles of chemotherapy since June 2012, but he can only finish those out through September of 2014. The chemos and their toxicity level are just so much that they could cause organ failure for Micah. And then we don't really have any options much further than that.
Due to a lack of viable cancer cells available and the legal issues that impede sharing them for research, Ian's Friends Foundation funded an unprecedented pediatric brain tumor biorepository model at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta.
The Ian's Friends Foundation Brain Tumor Biorepository can provide the basis of materials that investigators need in order to develop cures for pediatric brain tumor.
Not only will it facilitate research here at Children's, but throughout the country and beyond. So lots of different researchers with different approaches to solving this very serious problem.
Keeping with its mission to support innovative research techniques in pediatric brain tumor treatments, Ian's Friends Foundation identified Dr. Sweetan and provided initial funding that has led to an FDA-approved clinical trial, which is currently underway.
On a Sunday, we were at the dinner table, and I thought I saw one of her eyes cross. It got worse every day, and in 5 days it went from an eye that crossed once or twice to a child that couldn't take 4 steps without falling down.
The doctor had us go over for some scans right away, and within 3 hours we had the diagnosis. It was called a diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, which is a brain tumor that's inoperable.
We were given a 0% chance that our daughter would survive. We hadn't seen rainbows here, maybe but a couple times in all the years that I had lived here. And suddenly she got diagnosed, and every 3 or 4 days, there would be these huge, full, bright, all the colors of the spectrum rainbows. Depending on what you read about them, there's supposed to be a connection between heaven and earth. And people used to say, she's being watched over.
We did research to evaluate what other type of cutting edge trials there was out there, and there was nothing really groundbreaking until we found Dr. Sweetan's trial. They were very upfront and honest with us and said, this is a phase 1 trial. It's never been done on any human being. There's always got to be that first pioneer to get something going, and Caitlin was it. We, in our hearts, thought it would be great 10, 15 years down the road for a parent to hear your kid has DIPG, but don't worry, there's a great delivery system that we can treat this with, and your kid's going to be fine.
We knew we signed her up for a science experiment in our heads, and in our hearts, we hoped we were signing her up for a miracle. She did great. From the moment she woke up, she did great.
To see her up, walking, putting on pink clothing, and fully expecting that she'll go back to cheering one of her passions, unbelievably gratifying. If we listen to the theoretical problems with doing what we wanted to do, we would have never treated her. So she will always serve as, to me, the greatest success of this clinical trial yet.
Dr. Sweetan's introduction of the catheter and the introduction of the delivery system of the radiation and the biological agent into it basically made the center of the tumor have a hole in it.
And a month later, the tumor outgrows it.
And it was the tumor was just too far ahead of us at that point.
It was hard for us to just walk away when we saw something was starting to work. We begged Dr. Sweetan to do the surgery again and to give Caitlin another dose of the agent.
Dr. Sweetan said he would have increased the dose 4-fold if the FDA would let him, but they wouldn't let him because of safety trial reasons. It's tough to swallow when we know our daughter's going to die.
But they did list it as a palliative care option, so that basically we were making her comfortable while she died. 5 is too young. My hope is that maybe this was her life's work, to contribute to finding a cure, and that someday somebody will remember that she was a part of something important. We're grateful to Ian's Friends Foundation for being willing to support something that was so unknown so early on. It gave our daughter and our family a chance and a piece of hope. We're very grateful.
We have since treated 15 children. Today, there's no question that I'm more excited than I ever have been about this whole endeavor. The trial thus far has answered a very, very critical question for us and everybody else who's been watching and understanding the idea of local infusion for brainstem gliomas. It's possible, it's safe.
We need everybody working together to find a cure for these kids.
I hope for any kid is that he stays healthy and strong enough to be able to do whatever it is he wants to do.
Caitlin proved that what they're using works. It just needs to be done more aggressively. And that takes time and research and money. In the last 10 years, kids with leukemia used to die all the time, and now they're living normal lives.
Funding is about who's motivated to help participate in supporting that funding for research.
You just never know when it can happen to you.
We were going to shut down and just be very private. We decided that if 20 years ago, parents would have opened up and stood up and shared, that maybe our daughter would still be here today. So we won't sit by quietly and let this continue to happen to children and to watch parents have to bury their child because nobody stood up and said enough or did enough.